want your mail.
He's a corrections officer, able to protect himself against the most evil, the most dangerous elements of society, prison inmates, right? But when he was confronted with an overheated female coworker with a nasty mouth, he says he was helpless. Going to work, he says, became a nightmare for Robert Lockley, that he was taunted day after day with sex comments, and even his so-called private parts became public discussion. But do the same rules apply when a man is harassed by a woman on the job? A jury of 12 in New Jersey said yes to the tune of nearly, buckle your seatbelts, $4 million. With us live to tell his story, Robert Lockley, also his attorney, Linda Wong. On the other side, powerhouse employment attorney John Gomez, a radio personality, WHPC-FM in New York. Thanks for being with us, all three of you.
Hello.
Now, Mr. Lockley, I've got to go to you first and ask the obvious question.
Yes, ma'am.
I've taken a look at you. You're 6 feet tall. This woman was not your boss. Why couldn't you handle the problem yourself?
Basically, I tried to handle the problem myself in the beginning. When I became aware of the problem, I started to try to find help through my supervisors after I found that this woman wouldn't take no for an answer.
Now, wait a minute. You said when you first mentioned the problem, just in a nutshell, how did this whole thing go from what some guys would consider to be flirtation and flattery to harassment?
Well, I never viewed it as flattery. It started as a simple flirtation that escalated into more of a serious problem where it became a daily occurrence, and it's something that I had to deal with every day on the job. And then at some point, I felt like it started to reach my home life, at which point I felt like I had to do something about the problem itself.
Now, Robert, I've read your lawsuit, but our viewers have not. So just give me the down and dirty. What was going on at work?
Basically, wherever I was, this woman was. I became aware of her presence in 1988. Simple comments and flirting gestures. Speaking about my car, my clothes, the way I dress. She liked the way I was neat at all times. That turned into more of a serious problem when I transferred to the first shift in 1990, at which time, now everywhere I went, this woman was there in the lunchroom,
But wait a minute, Robert. She talked about your car, she talked about your clothes. That doesn't sound like harassment to me.
No,
now, that doesn't equal $3.7 million. Linda, how'd you get a $3.7 million award?
Well, what happened here was the state itself admitted that there was sexual harassment. They issued a finding of probable cause in October of 1993, and then even beyond that, we had tremendous documentation from Mr. Lockley where he had notified the state that he was continuing to be sexually harassed, and they didn't do anything. I think the willful indifference on the part of the state was the most compelling factor there. No matter what he did, he reported he was having a nervous breakdown.
But Linda, how do comments about your car and your clothes equal sexual harassment? Maybe I'm missing part of the story.
Well, that's how it started.
Right. It wasn't just that.
Well, what's the bad part?
Right. They were talking about how he was a wasted sexual experience, that they should have saved the afterbirth and thrown him out. And this was constant. They made these profane remarks questioning whether or not he was a homosexual. It went on day in and day out. And when you think about it, look, you could have an argument with someone at work. It ruins your whole day. This was going on every day.
Well, John
with not just him, but a number of people, a whole group of people.
Nancy, I think first off, I think you have to take the case as it sits, which is you're talking about a correctional facility. You're talking about a prison. You're talking about an environment where these types of comments and so forth may take place, and most probably will. And I think when you take a look at the law...
Oh, wait a minute,
But
John,
that's not true.
it's okay because it happened to prison guards? Is that what I'm hearing?
No,
that's not true.
No, wait, where did you get that law degree?
Nancy, first of all, let's go to the intent of the sexual harassment. I think the intent of the drafters of the legislation for sexual harassment was to protect women typically in the professional work environment who could not protect themselves from unwanted, unsolicited sexual advances. And here we have an instance where we have a man, 39 years old, who's going in voluntarily, taking a job in a correctional facility, and
so
you're trying to tell me that somebody
he asked for it.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that
Robert,
at all.
Robert,
Yes,
is that
ma'am.
the type of attitude that you got when you first complained?
This is the whole attitude that I've been subjected to since I did come forward with my story. The vulgar comments were going on every day. My alleged penis size, whether or not I was homosexual.
You know what the sad thing is, Nancy? The sad thing is the message that this sends out to potential jurors in the future.
Oh, no, I think there was an appropriate message sent out here.
John, finish.
I get comments like these. Everybody gets comments like these about their penis size, about how great a lover they are, and so forth. I mean,
You do?
Yeah,
Is that at your law
absolutely.
firm?
I'm sorry?
That's at your law firm?
No, not at my law firm, but this happens, and you deal with it.
I don't think you should deal with it, though. I think that we should all be protected, and we should all be afforded the right to have a sexual harassment, retaliation-free workplace. And that's what I was after, and that's why I brought these charges forward. And I felt like I was doing it in the best interest of my family,
and you honestly,
to protect my job.
You honestly believe that you deserve $3.7 million for that?
Absolutely.
You've suffered these emotional distress for that?
If this had happened to a woman, there would be no question that this particular punitive damage award would be justified, because this was constant, it was day in and day out. There was willful indifference on the part of the commissioner's staff. They issued their own finding of probable cause. No one was even counseled in this case.
Hey,
No one
Linda,
was
I've got a
issued
question
a
for you.
reprimand.
Linda, I've got a question for you. Actually, two. What was your mix on your jury, men, women?
There were 3 men and 3 women.
And the other thing I wanted to ask you about is he went time after time after time and made complaints.
Absolutely.
Nothing was done. And what I'm wondering at this point is you dropped the lady prison guards off the suit.
Right.
You dropped them, but you
Right.
kept the state of New Jersey. Why did you drop them? Does it have something to do with the deep pocket?
No, we wanted to streamline our case. We wanted
Nancy, why ask her
those
the obvious
issues
question?
to be brought to the
Better
attention
answer.
be brought to the attention of the jury. We wanted to simplify our case because we
Linda,
wanted one attorney in the
I'm
case.
happy about your verdict, but I do smell a rat, because if these were the prison guards that were harassing him, why drop them from the lawsuit?
Well, because the laws in New Jersey do not allow for individuals to be sued, and really the entity that was responsible was really the state.
Okay,
Nancy, what I
There's
find more
absolutely nothing
embarrassing
to correct this. And you know what? I have to differ with my co-counsel or my adversary here, because if this is the type of advice that he's giving his own employees or employers, his own clients, he's going to run into trouble
Now,
himself.
what we've got
I will
here,
never
what we've got here is a lot.
who's an employer to completely disregard someone's
Last
claims of
word to
discrimination.
Robert Lockley. Lockley, this almost cost you a marriage as
Yes,
well.
Nancy.
I
Yes.
don't know. It's hard to put a price tag on that, but I think 3.7 million
Is
might
sending
just
out,
help
Nancy,
mend
if I could
things.
just say, this is
Quickly,
sending out.
we've got
This is
15
sending out-
seconds left.
This is a
lotto
situation-
jury mentality.
No, this
Lotto
is
jury
No,
the
it's not.
situation that does
Goodbye,
not.
guys. We've got to go. Robert, Linda,
Yes.
John, please
Thank
join
you.
us again. Let me know if you collect on that judgment.
Thank you.
Everyone, we've got to say goodnight. But Johnny Cochran's next with baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and racism. Are Indian sports mascots a sign of respect or racism?
I didn't know what to think at first. I was totally shocked. It just threw me off that there was a law that people are not allowed to swear in public.
And on Pros and Cons tomorrow, a law against cursing in Michigan. That's darn right. And one man's choice words while on the river may get him in some real hot water with the law. Everyone, I'm Nancy Grace. Thanks for watching tonight. I'll see you tomorrow. And from all of us here at Pros and Cons, good night.
Conspiracy has the state made a deal to let some dangerous polluters off the hook in what could be the world's worst case of chromium contamination. When News 9 Tonight continues.
News 9 Tonight is brought to you by your local Honda dealer.